Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special Life with Children remote. Because as you can see, I'm sitting in a desk here in sunny London. The sun is shining outside my window, but it's 3:30 in the afternoon. And I'm joined, though, by my good friend Oliver Stauffer, CEO of PTI, which is Packaging Technology Inspections. And as you can see, he's not in my office. He's actually in New York for INTERPHEX 2026. And actually, I'm very glad he joined me this morning because he actually spoke this morning at 9:15, I think it was, wasn't it, Oliver, as part of a keynote. So we're going to learn more about the keynote and also about PTI and also how INTERPHEX is going because sadly I'm not there, but he is. So Oliver, it's lovely to see you, my friend. Thank you for setting this up. How are you?
Doing great, Rizwan. Thanks so much for having me on. Great to see you again. And sorry you're not here. It's actually raining here in New York, so we'll take it. We'll take
All
the
right.
rain
Well,
this
look,
time.
all right. Well, Oliver, look, I know I'm always worried about the internet connection when we do things like this. So I'm going to try and keep it as concise as possible. But my first question for you is, how are you and how's the show gone so far? We're into day two. So how is it?
Yeah, it's going great. So far, the show we'll say is very busy. Day two often is even busier than day one, and it looks like it's we've got a good crowd here. So I think it's going to be a great show, great event so far. The conversations are always great, and we're really seeing a lot of different angles, different conversations happening. So that's great.
Fantastic. Now, look, for people not familiar with PTI, though, perhaps you can give us a very quick overview of you as a business and what you do.
Yeah, PTI, we manufacture leak detection systems, but uh, far beyond creating container closure integrity test solutions for high risk packaging, we're creating that entire ecosystem for our clients. So on the front end, we're supporting with quality risk management support, quality risk assessments, test method development. And then on the back end, we're not just installing a piece of equipment, we do GMP level validations and support clients with their control strategy ongoing. So it really makes a difference for clients in their entire journey for container closure integrity and container quality. And so that's who we are. That's what we do. And it makes for really great conversations, really technical stuff. Most of our client conversations are asking us deep questions about the physics. And what's great is me and the PTI team, that's where we live. That's what we do.
That's fantastic. Now, we'll talk about the keynote you did this morning in a second, but what are you on understand? What is it particularly that you're showcasing instrument wise?
Yeah, so what we're showcasing instrument-wise is the Veripack 355. That's what we have in our booth. That is not a brand new system. It's a technology we've had for, let's say, 10 years. But what is changing is how we're using some of the machines, how we're deploying the test methods, the technology that surrounds it also, has been refined so that we're able to leak test down to really small leak sizes in the auto injector. And that's the theme of today's talk was on auto injectors. Auto injectors, self-administered parenterals are becoming far more, becoming the majority of doses, right? I said this morning, 10 years ago, I knew maybe 5 people using an auto injector. And today that's magnitudes greater. And so assuring the quality of these auto injectors is paramount. And PTI, using some creative intuition with our standard technologies, we're able to detect leaks down to in that single digit micron range, which is critical for auto injectors and something that everyone has been struggling with. And so, that's where PTI, we stepped forward with this standard solution, and we presented that this morning. And it really is, we also just discussed the full life cycle journey, right? It's not just about testing a product once in isolation, but having a thorough quality risk management approach to container closure integrity, understanding the container quality through space and time, and deploying the right CCI test methods to assure that long term. So
Oh,
that's what the talk was about.
brilliant. And what feedback did you get? Because I know obviously your talk was at 9:15. You would have had, I'm
Yeah.
sure some people would have come and talked to you straight after that presentation. So what was the feedback that you got from the talk?
Well, I mean, the feedback is resounding that yes, there is a big concern that more and more doses are being self-administered, and it's about when, and where do you have to do the testing? Why, after you've validated your auto injector assembly system, Do we have to assure integrity after that, post facto, and what's involved there? And I think that's where, using a non-destructive quantitative test system that allows for patients that allows for drug sponsors and manufacturers to just have a much better control strategy around CCI. And so I think that's the real key. A lot of other technical questions, around why the die-ingress test is not an effective method anymore. And really, die-ingress can work for certain molecules, for certain vials. And that, 20 years ago, that's what we were dealing with. Everything has evolved to the prefilled syringe, to new delivery formats. And so in this new realm where we have larger molecules, we have a more complex system, and the break loose force of a prefilled syringe, the die-ingress test is no longer something that you can reach for reliably for a prefilled syringe. And so that's what, ultimately these questions are about, is what's going to affect, what is going to affect their ability to, use a die-ingress. And really it's down to the physics and chemistry of the product. And that's what's precluding die from being a really effective method anymore.
Brilliant. Okay, well, look, as I've got you there very quickly, I know you run your own video series now of talking about CCI. So given that you do that, so what, apart from this and talking about auto-injectors and their reliability, what other areas are hot topics within the CCI testing arena at the moment?
I mean, USP 382, which is the inherent integrity, that document went live in December. And so now, new container submissions or development submissions really have to be asserting the elastomeric closures and those components and the quality that's associated with it. And so that's a big topic that's driving a lot of interest in helium leak detection. ICH Q8 and Q9. 10 years ago, I wasn't really hearing about those documents. They weren't part of this daily lexicon. They drive everyone's decision-making today more so than ever before. And so ICH Q8 is about quality by design and how we're, developing the container, what we have to think about. And then the ICH Q9 is about quality risk management and having a holistic view of that quality and the risk assessments performed around a container development. ICH Q9 is more than just container quality, but when we apply ICH Q8 and Q9 to CCI, it completely changes the conversation, the dynamic, and what we have to think about. So that is very much where the conversation is, what people are concerned with, what we're thinking about the future.
Fantastic. Look, I'm going to ask you one final question. I'm going to leave you to get back to the booth because I'm sure you'll have lots of people waiting to talk to you about your talk this morning. You as a company have got great solutions. I know you've expanded to offer services and so on. What makes PTI unique and different that people should work with you rather than some of the other companies that are out there offering similar services?
I think we really put a lot of stock into the science behind our work, and we really support the longevity and the quality of our systems with that scientific work. And we're never afraid to really step forward and manage and own that science. We know when a certain technology is going to be effective, when it will not, how to produce the right test method, and how to pursue CCI for your container system. And so I think that's where we take a much more holistic view. We're not just an equipment manufacturer, and we're going to provide that scientific support from the front end to the back end, and make PTI really that ecosystem and at home for people that are dealing with these challenges. I think that's the difference. That's what we do differently. Yeah, we're far from just equipment manufacturers, and I think that's so important in our job.
Brilliant. Well, Oliver, I really appreciate the time out, taking the time out. And actually, as we're talking, give me a mini tour of the show floors. I can see all the stands behind you as you're doing it. So thank you for doing that. So viewers, if you're at INTERPHEX this week in New York, you've still got time to come and talk to Oliver and the rest of the team. They're at stands. I've made sure I've got it in front of me. 1459. You can't miss it. Go and talk to Oliver and the rest of the team, learn about how they can help you. They'll be there until obviously the end of tomorrow, which is Wednesday. There are also many other events, not just in the US and North America, but also Europe and the rest of the world. And in fact, Oliver's just come back from China. I know. Maybe we can catch up another time to get your feedback on what the market's like in China. So
always
please
exciting stuff there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. So make sure you get in touch touch with Oliver and the team here. But if you can't do that, you can follow them on LinkedIn, meet them many other shows, as I say, across the globe, and go to their website as well. So, Oliver, as always, it's good to see you, my friend. Enjoy the rest of the time in New York. Hopefully, the sun will come out later this afternoon for you in New York, because the Javits Center always looks nice when the sun comes out. I know that was
Yeah,
through
yeah.
the glass windows and stuff.
We can hope. We can
All
hope.
right, have a good time. And viewers, I hope you found that interesting. As I say, talk to Oliver and the rest of the team. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye bye.
There's
Take
one.
care,
Thank you.
Oliver.
Thank you.